Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we'll continue looking at building our mathematical toolkit. This time, moving on to section B, where we will be solving equations. Now, when we say solving equations, what our end goal is going to be is going to be to solve for 1x is equal to something. That's 1x equal to something. So it's going to be 1x equal to some value, okay? We are going to use some algebra to get to that point, and we have one golden rule in algebra, and that is what you do to one side, you must do to the other. And I'm sure you've heard that before in your mathematical travels, but I think it's valuable enough to repeat here in Physics 11. Must do to the other. Oh, the O with a little line on top is my short form for other. Okay, so the golden rule of algebra is what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So what that means for us is I'm just going to go through 5 examples here, and what I'll try and do is put the operation, the mathematical operation that I'm going to do, I'll try and do that in blue, and then I'll state answers in red. So for instance, in this question here, we have 2 pi x is equal to 25. So we want to end up with 1x is equal to something. Okay, we are going to solve for x. Okay, so what I can do mathematically is I can divide both sides by 2 pi. And if I divide both sides by 2 pi, the whole point of that is that, hey, 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So they kind of cancel out as the language that we use in the math world. And if we have a pi on top and a pi on bottom, pi divided by pi is 1. So this whole thing now is just equal to 1. Okay, so our problem now turns into 1x is equal to 25 divided by 2 pi. Okay, and then if we were to plug and chug that, which we should get to an answer of 3.98. Put a little box around that. Okay, so moving on to the next example. Right now we have 3/4 x plus 3 is equal to a negative 21 over 2. Okay, so the first mathematical operation I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the 3 that's on the same side as the x. Okay, so I'll put that in blue, and I want to do that because positive 3 minus 3, it's going to leave me with 3 over 4x on the left side. Okay, then if I go and plug this into my calculator, or you can do the long version of subtracting fractions, but I'll kind of skip that step and trust that you can get to the point that that is negative 13 over 5. And we'll talk about a couple things in class. Namely, what I would do here is say negative 21 over 2. Well, that's negative 10.5 minus 3, which is, of course, negative 13.5. Okay, so now on the left side, I've got 3 over 4x. Well, to turn that into 1x, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by 4 and divide by 3, and that's because I'll have a 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, and then my 3's on the top and bottom will also cancel. And then, of course, our golden rule of algebra says, hey, if you multiplied by 4/3 on the left, you must do that on the right. And our answer becomes negative 13.5 times 4 divided by 3 should get to a negative 18 answer. Okay, next one. What I'm going to do for my first mathematical operation here is I'm going to again get rid of the 18 that's on the same side as the x, so I'll subtract 18 from both sides. Okay, so this is going to become negative 16 over x. Our 18's on that side, on the left side, will cancel, is equal to negative 27. Okay, the next operation I'm going to do is I'm going to get x in the numerator, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply by x, because right now it's on the bottom or in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. so that my x, or the variable that I'm going to be solving for, is now going to be in the numerator or on top. Okay, so this becomes negative 16 is equal to negative 27x. Okay, and then I have one more step here to divide by negative 27 on both sides. Okay, negative 27 divided by negative 27 is just 1, so I'm left with 1x is equal to negative 16 divided by negative 27, which is 0.592 repeated. Okay, so you can take the time to work through that in a little slower detail, and just make sure that when you plug and chug your answer, you get to the same spot there. Okay, moving on to our next two examples. For this first one here, where we have 3 times things in brackets, the first thing I'm going to do is multiply our number on the outside by things on the inside using the distributive property in mathematics. I also call it the rainbow property. Okay, so whoops, that little line is there. Okay, so 3 times 1/4 x gives us 3 over 4x. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the right side, giving us 11 over 3x minus 11 over 3. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is have a look at the denominators here, and just notice that the denominators that I'm working with have a lowest common multiple of 12. So if I look at 4 and 1 and 3, the lowest common multiple is 12. So I'm going to multiply both sides of this thing by 12. If I do this properly, I should put brackets on both sides, and then this 12 is going to multiply into the numbers in the middle, or inside of the brackets, I should say. Okay, so this is going to become 12 times 3 divided by 4 is 9x. Okay, plus 12 times 15 is 180. It's going to be equal to 12 times 11 over 3x is 44x. Okay, minus 44. Okay, my next step, I'm going to move the x's to the left and the numbers to the right. Okay, I'm going to do that by subtracting 44x from the right side, which means I have to do it on the left. Okay, so we'll subtract 44x from both sides, and then we will also subtract 180 from both sides, so that will move our coefficients, or our numbers, over to the right. Okay, so then we'll just run that math. 9x minus 44x gives us negative 35x on the left, and negative 44 minus 180 is negative 220. Negative 224 on the right. Okay, one last step here is I will divide both sides by negative 35. Okay, so that we end up with 1x is equal to 6.4. Okay, our last example here. 14 is equal to 1/2 times 9.8 x squared plus 5. Okay, so I'm going to first of all just multiply my 1/2 times the 9.8 x squared, or sorry, the 9.8. Okay, and then I'll also move the 5 over to the other side. So if I subtract 5 from the right and the left, we end up with 9 is equal to 1/2 times 9.8 is 4.9 x squared. Okay, then if we turn this into 1 x squared, we can divide by 4.9 on both sides. Okay, that will give us x squared is equal to 1.83. Okay, and then the opposite operation, or the operation that will undo that squared operation, is to square root both sides. Okay, and we're left with a value of x is equal to 1.36. And the minor trick here is that when we're doing the square root of a number, our answer can be plus or minus. So I'll just put a plus or minus in front of our answer. Try and erase that line that's right in the middle. Put a box around that guy, and we're done. Okay, there are some questions to try in your worksheet package. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon.